Very warm good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the July monthly technical meeting organized by the Society of Petroleum Engineers Abuja section. Of course, today we are dissecting the theme, designing the energy transition without shutting down the oil industry. Of course, we're so pleased to have a very respected resource person from the University of Abuja, the acting head of department and nuclear engineering from Uni Abuja, Engineer Dr. Abdulwasiu Abdurrahman, who will be taking us on this very exciting topic. Well, we advise that you share the link on your private pages, on your WhatsApp platforms. We also appeal that you also concentrate while we start the event. If you can see my screen, the event is built to start from 5 o'clock, where we have the safety brief. And after that, we move to introduction of speakers. We have a welcome remarks by the section chair, where we switch gears to introducing our speaker. After which, we'll have the technical lecture by the speaker. After that, we'll have the question and answers, the closing remarks by our amazing programs chair. So let's switch gears immediately to the safety brief. We kindly appeal that please, for the course of this event, you mute your microphone if you're not speaking, you raise your hands if you want to speak, and you use the chat button for your comments and your questions. Of course, the speaker has about 40 minutes to speak. And after there, you have 15 minutes to ask your questions. So you can drop all of your questions on the chat box where we would treat during the event. The theme for today's event is designing the energy transition without shutting down the oil and gas industry. There has been a lot of conversation about cleaner energy. Of course, you can see the synopsis here. The challenge is no longer choosing between hydrocarbons and renewables. It is designing a practical pathway that enables both to coexist. Of course, this meeting will explore how the oil and gas industry can remain a vital driver for economic growth while advancing decarbonization, energy security, and sustainability. So on behalf of SP Abuja section, we say welcome. Let me continue the event by recognizing some amazing personalities on the call. I'll start by saying a warm welcome to the programs chair for SPE Abuja section, who will be representing the section chair at this event. A warm welcome to you, Professor Kafayat Adeyemi. Welcome, ma'am. Confirm you can hear me.
Loud and clear. Good evening, everyone,
Okay.
and thanks for joining. Good evening, our distinguished speaker.
Thank you, ma'am, and welcome once again. We are pleased to also have our speaker for today, the acting head of Department Nuclear Engineering from the University of Abuja, Engineer Dr. Abdulwasiu Abdurrahman. A very warm evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us today.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome all of the participants on the call. We would like to know where you're joining us from. Just go to the chat box. Which part of Nigeria are you joining us from? Please kindly drop it on the chat box. And what do you hope to learn from today's session? While you are dropping that, let me continue with the safety brief. Like I said earlier on, please leave your mic on mute if you're not speaking. If you're driving, we kindly appeal that you park in a safe space, connect to your handheld device or your Bluetooth device in your car so that you may not have any kind of accidents on the road. Okay, I'm seeing chats in the box. Masiu Kabil, good afternoon, sir. We celebrate you, sir. Which part are you joining us from? Oh, Kafaya today, me joining from Abuja. Thank you, ma'am, for joining. Which part of the world are you joining us from? Once again, we say welcome. While you are making the chat box very interactive, let's continue the event by having a remark by our section leader on the call. It is my distinct honor to welcome the section chairman of SPE Abuja, Engineer Ikechi Okafor, PhD, ably represented by our programs chair, Professor Kafayat Adeyemi. Over to you, ma'am, for your kind remarks. Ma'am.
Okay, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to our monthly technical meeting. And today's topic is, we'll be talking about energy transition without still having the oil and gas sector. To me, that's very interesting, because when we say energy transition, we're saying specifically moving from a world of fossil fuels to cleaner, low carbon energy sources like solar, wind. And so we begin to ask ourselves broadly, so what is the role of the oil and gas sector? How do we embrace or embark on a transition without shutting down the oil and gas? For me, I know the speaker is going to do justice to the topic. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but we must have it at the back of our minds that what we'll be discussing is about how we cut emissions, especially carbon dioxide and methane emissions, and then we'll also link it to kind of energy security and cost of solar and renewables. So it's a lot of interactions, and I want to believe that we would have a very interactive and productive session. I would encourage us to listen keenly and jot down our questions, so that at the end of the presentation by our distinguished speaker, we would have kind of a brainstorming and interactive Q&A session to enrich everyone's knowledge, because that's the essence of SPE. We disseminate knowledge and we improve capacity of professionals. So thank you most sincerely once again for joining us this evening for our technical meeting. Thank you. Am I being heard?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, our program's chair, for that warm remarks, ma'am. Confirm you can hear me, please.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor Kafai Zedemi, for that warm remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, we switch gears immediately to our event for today, and you will, of course, like to know our speaker. Of course, his profile is on the screen. Our speaker is a chemical and nuclear engineering academic researcher and professional engineer with expertise in energy systems, enhanced oil recovery, biofuels, membrane suppression technologies, and sustainable process engineering. He obtained his Bachelor's of Engineering, Master's of Science, and Doctor of Philosophy and Chemical Engineering from Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria. He currently serves as the acting head of Department of Nuclear Engineering at the University of Abuja, where he is providing leadership in the development of one of Nigeria's emerging nuclear engineering programs. His research focuses on deep acidic solvents, polymer and subsolvent flooding for enhanced oil recovery, membrane-based desulfurization, renewable energy, biogas and biohydrogen production, carbon capture, and the introduction of sustainable technologies in the energy sector. Our speaker has authored numerous scholarly publications in reputable international journals, has presented research findings at national and international conferences. He is a recipient of the Best Paper Award PhD category at the 2025 Nigeria Annual International Conference Exhibition. Nice, amazing. Of course, let's give some virtual applause of the SPE, a retired engineer with the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, COREN. Of course, he is actively involved in teaching, research, curriculum development, postgraduate supervision, and professional service. His vision is to advance engineering education, foster innovation in clean and conventional energy technologies, and of course, contribute to Nigeria's technological and industrial development through impactful research and strategic collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next 40 minutes, we'll be listening to engineer Dr. Abdulwasiu Abdulrahman, of course, our speaker for today. Please help me celebrate him as he takes the virtual stage. Over to you, Dr. Abdulrahman, sir.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. As the speaker has, the MC has rightly said.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Your video is not on the right; it's horizontal. You could just tilt it to the left.
Left. Is it okay now?
No, it's just tilt it again. It's upside down.
upside down.
Yes,
Okay,
this
now.
is good. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. But come to the middle. Yes,
Okay.
yes. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. And today's topic is designing the energy transition without shutting down the oil and gas industry. I don't know, please, can you share the slide with them so that they can be following?
You have access to share the slide, sir. I'm not sure I received the slide. You can share your slide yourself, sir.
I can also forward to you now, Akpan, and let's see.
Okay. I think that's better. You have it now?
Yeah, I'm waiting. Once it drops, I will download it.
Okay. Before we get that, we can still continue. And the presentation outline, we're going to look at the landscape. We're going to look at the complementary case, mechanism, and evidence, then Nigeria and pathway. That's the way forward. So under the landscape, we are going to look at the global energy demand. Why do we still have to transition to move from the fossil fuel to the renewable energy? And what are even the biofuels that we have been talking about, or the renewable energy? Then the mechanism of combining the two together, and we're going to suggest and give some recommendations to the Nigeria industry. So I'm going to start with the global energy demand, as we all know that the population keeps increasing every day, and as the population is increasing, the energy demand is also increasing. So as the energy demand is increasing, there is need to get alternative source of energy so that we not have over-dependent of the fossil fuel. And we have different sources of energy. We have the oil, we have the coal, we have the natural gas, we have the renewable, and we have the nuclear. We all know that oil and gas produce about 31% or even more than 31% of the energy globally. Then the coal produces, 26%, and the natural gas produces 23%, and the renewable energy that we're talking about only produces 16% of the global energy, and now the nuclear energy produces around 4%. 4% of the global energy. So now we need to talk about the energy security and decarbonization processes. How do we look at that? Why oil still matters? Why do we have to still look at the oil industry? Four major factors are going to be looked at. We have the energy security, we have the petrochemicals, the economic importance, and the infrastructure. So we're going to dwell on these four factors. The first one, as I've said, is energy security. Currently, the oil and gas produce the road that we use, the coal tar, asphalting, and other things that are used for road construction. Aviation through jet fuel, that's the aviation fuel. The maritime shipping through the marine fuel. Agricultural machinery also, they use what? Diesel. And the backup electricity. In fact, if you go to our hydrothermal industry and the rest, their turbines are always turned or are always operating with the fossil fuel. So if you're going to shut down the oil and gas industry, you're going to have some cases like cases of fuel shortage, rising of food prices, industrial disruption, electricity instability, and economic recession. So these are some of the issues that we are going to have if we're going to say that, okay, want to shut down the oil industry. Then another key factor that we also need to consider is the petrochemicals. If you look at the other aspect of the energy, That's the renewable energy, the nuclear energy, the coal, and the rest. Can we have these? Can we have these properties or these materials from those energy? In oil, we don't. It's not. We are not talking about energy alone. We have another products, industrial products, valuable industrial products that can also be produced from those the oil and gas. And these include, we have the plastics, we have the fertilizer, of course, the hydrogen, the fossil hydrogen the hydrogen is also produced, which is used in the production of ammonia, then from there it is used in the production of fertilizer. We have the pharmaceutical products like the xylene, benzene, and some of the industrial starting products for pharmaceutical products. Then we have the synthetic rubber, we have the lubricant, we have the asphalt, we have the solvent. Some of the solvents that I use, like the chloroform and other solvents, are also obtained from these fossil fuels. We have the detergents, cosmetics, and synthetic fibers. All these are products, they are petrochemical products that are obtained from oil and gas. So the question is, can other source of energy, can they also produce this? The next thing is the economic importance. The oil and gas remain the major contributor to the national economy. They produce the government revenue, like in Nigeria. Everybody in Nigeria knows that, okay, majorly the source of income or source of revenue for the Nigerian government is the crude oil. We have the foreign exchange earning, employment generation, infrastructure development, and industrial investment. Majorly all these things, majorly in Nigeria, they are produced or they are obtained through the oil industry. And the fourth one that we'll be considering is the infrastructure. The trillions of naira or dollars have been spent in building these refineries. We have the Warri Refinery, Kaduna Refinery, Port Harcourt Refinery, and all the refineries that we have. Already they are built, and millions of naira and dollars, trillions of naira have been spent in building this infrastructure. So if you are just saying or suggesting that we should just move from the fossil fuel to transition to renewable energy, so what are we going to do, or what are we going to say about those infrastructures that we have in place? So we also have to consider the money, the huge amount of money that have been invested into building some of these oil and gas industry. Then why do we have to move from the fossil fuel to renewable energy? Of course, because of the climate, we have the global warming, we have the CO2 that is released, methane that is released, some of the unwanted gases that are produced from the oil and gas industries. We need to look at that, and how do we tackle that, or how do we even limit, if you cannot eradicate it completely, how do we limit those unwanted gases? And 29% of the total greenhouse emission comes from the fossil fuel. This transportation sector, dominantly by the fossil fuel combustion and the rest. We have 29% of the global warming that is coming from the fossil fuel. So we need to reduce that. And in the year 2050, it is projected that the emission should be reduced by, to some extent, by 32%. So that we can have cleaner environment, we can have cleaner energy, and we can have qualitative products. The quality of the product should be improved if we are using the renewable energy. So that is why we need to look at that. Another factor or another thing to consider is diversification. We don't need to solely depend on the fossil fuel. Like in Nigeria, if they should change the price of the PMS today, is going to affect everything. Everything will be affected. So we need to move from this fossil fuel and diversify and have another source of the another source of energy. Like some of the gases, some of the cars now are now using LPG and other things for transportation, which is a very good one, and we're going to talk about that. Then, having known what fossil fuel is all about and why we have to, what they generate, the advantages, the disadvantages, then we also need to look at the renewable energy. And the renewable energy mostly are those energy that are obtained from the materials like the agricultural waste and the rest. Mostly any kind of energy or fuel that is obtained from that, it is called biofuel. So we need to look at what are biofuel. Biofuel, we have the ethanol, we have the fatty acid methyl ester, which is called biodiesel. We have the renewable diesel, we have the sustainable aviation fuel, and we have the biogas, that's the biomethane, bioethane, and the rest. So these are some of the biofuels that we'll be talking about. And don't forget that the energy sector, we have the three aspects of the energy sector. We have the upstream, downstream, and the midstream. So how this energy transition, how is it going to be incorporated, or how can we have the synergy between the two energies? I remember when we were in school, there was a time we were told that by the year 2030, there's the oil we finish and we need to start thinking about how to create another source of energy. And the narrative then is that oil and gas is the past, or they are past, then renewable energy are the future. So we need to completely shut down the fossil fuel and embrace the renewable energy. But the reality, that's not the reality. As I've told you at the beginning of this lecture, that if you classify the whole energy, you quantify the whole energy as 100%, the fossil fuel produces more than 32% of the global energy. So, and the renewable energy we are talking about for now can only produce about 3 to 4% of the energy that's globally. So you can see the gap between the fossil fuel and the renewable energy. So, as the projector is not, I don't know, I wanted us to look at how the pathway moves from the fuel, for the renewable energy. In 2020, we have the 3%, and it is projected that in 2026 we are going to have the 4%. 2030 we have the 6%, and by the year 2040 we're going to have 15%, and year 2050 we have like 28% of the energy that will be produced from the renewable energy. And remember, as I told you, that currently the fossil fuel produces more than 30-something%. So even to 2060, the total amount of energy that is projected that will be produced by the renewable energy will be around 30%, which is still less than the energy produced by the fossil fuel. And so as a result of that, then what are the mechanisms that can be adopted, or what are the things that can be done for these two energy to be matched together? As I've said, that the reality is that the two are supposed to work concomitantly, not separately. Not that this one should shut down this and this one should not work. So the two are very, very important. The renewable energy, we have the cleaner one, we have the better energy, the quality, the octane number, some of the factors, some of the properties, characterization are far better than that of the fossil fuel. But the fact remains that the fossil fuel produced the larger percentage of the energy. So now in countries like India, like Brazil, like USA and the rest, the Canada and the rest, they try to come up with what they call blending ratio. Okay, the renewable energy has particular properties. The renewable energy have particular properties. The fossil fuel, they also have their properties. What is going to happen if the two of them will be joined together, and what will now lead to what will now be the product? And that is what they look at. They call it what? Fuel blending. Fuel blending. For the fuel blending, we have the biodiesel blending, like we have the B15, B7, B10, B20, B30, B100. B5 or B15, let's say B5, what it means that you have the 95% of the diesel coming from the fossil fuel, and you have the 5% of the diesel, or 5% coming from the bio diesel. That is, by the time you want to remember in refineries, after the normal refining process, it is not suitable for human consumption. You have to undergo the 4 processes: alkylation, isomerization, reforming, and cracking. So you have to look at the cracking, you have to look at reforming, cracking to increase the quantity of the petrochemical product, and reforming to increase the quality, to increase the octane rating and other factors. But here, what we are saying is that if you get just like 5% of the biodiesel, let's say, or 5% of the PMS that is produced from the bio source, and it is now combined with the one that is produced from the fossil fuel, the octane rating or the quality of that particular product will increase sharply. Is going to increase sharply. So as a result of that, now they start thinking that, okay, what are these blending ratios that we need to look at? Like, so they came up with, if you're looking at biodiesel, they use B. If you are looking at ethanol, they use E. Like for biodiesel, we have B5, B7, B10, B20, B30, and like continuously like that. And like Brazil now, they have reached B40, that is 40% of the biodiesel and the 60% of the diesel coming from the fossil fuel. Then the same thing with ethanol gasoline blend. The ethanol gasoline blend, you have the 5% of the bioethanol or 10% of the bioethanol. If it is E5, that means you have the 5% of the bioethanol. If it is E10, you have 10% of the bioethanol. E15, you have 15% of the bioethanol. E20, you have 20% of the bioethanol. E27, 27% of the bioethanol. And E85, like the aviation fuel, that the quality needs to be, the quality of the fuel needs to be very, very high. So, and most for that one, it is advisable that you should, the percentage of the biofuel that should be added should be more than 50%. 50%. And all these that they are doing is they are trying to, one, to have a cleaner energy. Two, they are trying to get to improve the quality of the product. The lubricants, the first the PMS, kerosene, aviation fuel, and the rest. So by the time you get some particular percentage or quantity of the biofuel and you add it to the fossil fuel, you discover that the quality, the octane number, the cetane number, depending on whether you're looking at the biodiesel, whether you're looking at diesel fuel and the rest, the quality is going to increase sharply. So instead of going through all those processes of isomerization, process of reforming, catalytic cracking, thermal cracking, thermal reforming that demands high energy, and it is not the energy, the cost is very, very high. You can just get your agricultural waste. One, you are making the environment to be cleaner, because some of these agricultural waste can be transformed to this bio product. So the next thing is the life cycle of some of these biofuel. We have the corn cob, sugarcane bagasse, soya beans, waste cooking oil, and other materials like rice hulls and the rest. All those materials can be used to produce a bio fuel, depending on what you want to look at, either biodiesel, biogas, biohydrogen, and the rest. You have to look at the quantity and the properties of whatever you are the property of that particular agricultural waste you're looking at, and from there you know the product you're going to produce. Like the jatropha oil, some of these waste cooking oil are used in production of the biodiesel. And once you have produced the biodiesel, remember I told you that the quantity is still not in commercial quantity, because it is not in commercial quantity. So it can be used to augment the fossil fuel, and you have a better and a cleaner product. So economic benefit, rural development, like in rural area, you know, most of these agricultural activities are done in the rural area, and after investing, after they have produced their crops, they can also get it, and from there is going to increase our GDP. It can be transported, it can be exported, and the byproduct, the waste product of all these after they are transformed can also be used to produce the biofuel. Refinery integration, so we can, like as I've said, that this biofuel can be integrated into our co-processing in existing plants that we have, the crude oil, the products that are obtained from the crude oil, instead of going through extra process of purification like desulfurization, removal of sulfur, increasing the aromaticity, that's the aromatization or reforming of all these. You're looking at catalytic reforming, thermal reforming, and the rest. You can just get your bio substance or bioproduct. Then by the time it is mixed with this crude oil, you have a better and a cleaner product. So the second generation, that's the second generation fuel. The first generation fuel is the fossil fuel, and the second generation fuel is the blending of this fossil fuel with the biofuel. So, and the target is that by the year 2030 or 2040, must have reached the 40%, that's the blending should be 40% biodiesel, biofuel, 40% biofuel, and 60% of the fossil fuel, so that we can have what we want. And then the carbon emission is going to be drastically reduced, and which is one of the major targets, to reduce the carbon emission, methane emission, the emission of all these that cause greenhouse effect. So where they have been practicing this this blending ratio and the rest, we have the Brazil, USA, in some of these United Arab nations and the rest. They have also started looking at this. And from this opportunity for Nigeria, we have the biomass. Some of these biomass can be converted. Initially, they were only littering our environment, and now, instead of littering our environment, it's going to make our environment to be cleaner. Then those waste products, initially they were waste products, and now they are going to be converted to useful products, and which we increase our GDP, and is also going to serve as another source of revenue for the country. Then the policy framework. It should be made compulsory for any of the oil and gas industry, that after, like mostly for the downstream industries, that after you have obtained your products, you can use some of this bio fuel to blend your fuel and to have a better one and a greener one. Then tax credit and subsidies. Then we have another diversification, sustainability certification, and finally the quality of the product is going to be increased. So the key takeaway for the Nigeria is for anybody listening to this particular lecture is that we should try to move from only the fossil fuel and move to non-fossil fuel, that's the renewable energy. Then the biofuel succeeds faster when they are blended, co-processed, and distributed through infrastructure that already exists. And the quality and emission both improve when biofuel are integrated. That is, we're going to have higher octane number when we are looking at the biofuel. Then investment capital of around $26 per day if this particular product or particular method is fully established. Then Nigerian wood feedstock base, like we know in Nigeria, we are very good in this agricultural product. Like Nigeria is one of the largest producers of cassava and some other products like that. So in order to avoid competition with the edible product, usually it is advisable that, if you're going to look at the edible agricultural products, so it is advisable that they look at the waste, like the cassava that I'm talking about. It's not the cassava that will be used. It is maybe the cassava peel, the water coming, the bywater, that is the byproduct that is coming from after the cassava is processed, can also be used to mop crude oil. That's oil spillage. It can serve as surfactant. It can serve as other chemicals that can be used to mop the crude oil. Then the policy, when this particular policy is adopted, that the blending ratio must be taken for all the oil and gas industry. You can see that then the oil and gas industry, that's the downstream industry, we need to adopt the method of incorporating the bioproducts, the bio or renewable energy, the bioproduct, biofuel into the the fossil fuel. Thank you for listening, and I'm going to stop for now, and I will entertain question and answer and try to. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking time to share your wealth of experience in this light. We have a few comments on the chat. We have one from Dr. Bisoye. Thank you very much, engineer. This is very detailed and interesting technical session. Over the next 5 to 10 years, which 3 technical, commercial, or digital capabilities will be the most critical for delivering an energy transition that preserves energy security and industrial productivity? How can professionals build multidisciplinary energy expertise without losing specialist depth? Over to you, sir, for your response.
Please, the question again,
how over the next 5 to 10 years, which 3 technical, commercial, or digital capabilities will be most critical for delivering an energy transition that preserves energy security and industrial productivity? How can professionals build multidisciplinary energy expertise without losing specialist depth? The question is on the chat box,
okay,
just in case you want to read it as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. That can be done. I know of somebody around ATT or so that she's using this cassava something, and she has the cassava plantation. From the cassava, she's converting it to xylitol. She's getting ethanol, and she's getting so many things. So we can partner with some of these industries. So the first thing we need is the government should make it like a law, like let me say, for instance, like Dangote refinery that is producing the product, the fuel products. Okay, that these fuel products needs to be blended with certain percentage of the biofuel. So if that is going to be taken, then there should be industry or a company or where they can produce this biofuel. And the process of this producing biofuel is something that is not too difficult. Mostly, like, for instance, if you want to produce biodiesel, all you need is just your reactor where transfer esterification can take place, and from there you can scale it up to produce particular quantity that you need per day, and that can be done. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Bisoya, I hope you've gotten a response, sir. Okay, any other questions? You could raise your hands or mute your mic and we'll give you the opportunity to ask your questions. Any questions, please? Okay, Professor Kafaya, please go ahead, ma'am. Can unmute your mic and speak, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
I was listening keenly, and I'm like, there was at a point in time in Nigeria, we had this, is it B20, E10, this blend or something like that. So
yes, ma'am.
What's happening to it? That's one part of the question. Now we're talking of CNG cars, hybrid cars, petrol and CNG. So why will I call it like a mix-up? Where did we, because in your presentation, you said Brazil has gone to B40 now or something like that. That means they've improved their blend by adding more of the biofuels. So what happened to ours? That's question one. Then the second question is, there's what we call just energy transition. That means we must not transit blindly. Our resources must serve us, must provide jobs, must also provide the foreign exchange we need, right? So which is the faster way to energy transition in terms of what we have now? Do we go back to this our B10, E10, or focus on this our hybrid CNG in terms of these two? Of course, there are others, but I'm just looking at these two. Why are we why are we not consistent? Or what happened to it? Is it that it's not feasible? That was why everything went quiet? Or what are the issues? Thank you.
Thank you, Prof, for that very important question. And I don't want to go to political aspect of Nigeria, but sustainability is one of the major issues that we are having in Nigeria. Of course, when we started this issue, when they started this of biofuel, it was embraced and they were looking at it. So we have some, as you have said, we have B5, even up to B10. Then, and suddenly, I don't know, maybe it's change of government or something like that, and everything just died off. And now have the CNG converting our normal PMS to CNG and the rest with the intention of alleviating this transportation and the rest. But so the major issue I think we are having is this sustainability. How do you sustain that? Another government can come and now say that, okay, we are not looking at that. This is a particular dimension we are having. So that's why I would think some of our scientists and engineers and the rest should try to come whenever policies are made so that these things can continue. Continuity is major challenge that we are having in Nigeria. We are going to start something, a very beautiful project along the line, and it will stop. Look at the AKK, that's Kaduna, Kano, pipeline, something, and now we don't even have it again. So I think that's the major issue that we are having. The second question, the best way of
so which is the fastest way to energy transition now? Do we go back to focus more on these refined blended fuel, or we should stick to hybrid petrol and CNG vehicles? Because we need to make use of our fossil fuels. That's the message. But how sustainably are we making use of the fossil fuels?
Yes. Like the question I will also ask, like the people that are using CNG now, or what's the percentage? What's the ratio? Are they even up to 5% of the total vehicle that we have in Nigeria? So the fastest way, as I'm thinking, is we can join the two together. That is, we can, as we are trying to improve on the CNG, we can also continue with our blending mechanism and to move from the fossil fuel to the normal to this. We can join the two together. That's my take. Hello, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Abisoye, I believe you have a question to ask. Please, you can unmute your mic and speak, sir.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I have a very quick question. Thank you so much, engineer. This was an interesting session. A quick one. What would you say would make the greatest impact right now? It's kind of a follow-up to the question that was just asked, but more like if you have an upcoming young professional that wants to encourage the industry into, direct their growth in the space that you're discussing, what would you say would be the best way to build capability? What kind of skill set needs to be gotten? And where would we start from in terms of, starting to build that direction to say, okay, if we want to go in this direction for cleaner fuels, then this is what we need to do. This is what we need to build a skill set. Because I believe that the workforce has a shortage in terms of what is needed for us to build. So what would you say would make the greatest impact? What kind of knowledge do we need to get? Where would you advise a young professional to go to be like a blend between where we are going to and where we are coming from?
Thank you. The first thing, we need to create awareness to some of our engineers and some of our scientists on embarking on this particular process, that the renewable energy. How do we get more of the renewable energy than the normal fossil fuel? I remember some years back in ABU, let me use ABU as an example. They went to Dangote and told him that this zeolite we are using in our conventional refineries, the zeolite is always obtained, or they got the zeolite. It is always imported. And we have the Kankara clay, we have all those raw materials, and they advise Dangote that, okay, instead of buying the zeolite, why can't we be producing the zeolite? And so that you'll be the one to be producing the zeolite, and you will now be using it for your own refinery. And he bought the idea. And the first thing he did, which I can remember, was to send some of his the staff to come to ABU. Some of them did their MSc, and some of them did their PhD on how to synthesize zeolite. And if you can have something like that, okay, we have scientists that can produce zeolite constantly, not the at laboratory scale. Of course, at laboratory scale, we have been producing biodiesel, we have been producing bioethanol, biohydrogen, bio. But you discover that the quantity is very, very small. And some of these things are capital intensive. You need capital to produce the required quantity. So the first thing is, the advice I would give is, if government can come in and set up something like that, then if the policy is there that anybody that is producing any of these products must embark on one of the two, either the blending or the CNG, that will give a very, that's one of the fastest method of getting that. And I believe now for the conversion, the LPG and the other things, they are trying to see how to improve on that. And we believe one day we get there, by God's grace. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Then the last question is from Blessing to Kora. In reference to the comment on AKK, the main line of the AKK has been completed and it was publicly announced. So it's still very much an active project drawing close to completion. I think that's a comment from Blessing. In response to that comment, sir?
Okay, thank you. But AKK, I know the pipe. I don't know. I came from Zaria, from Kaduna, and I know when the operation was taking place, and then we were doing our PhD, and we were involved in some of the writing and some of the technical aspect of that. All of a sudden, everything just died down. But I am happy to hear that is about to complete, or is it complete already, or is that what she said?
Yes.
Okay, that's nice. So from Ajakuta to Kaduna to Kano is complete now.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we are done for today. Okay, the very last question, and please, this is the last question for today. We are already done with time. Dr. Bisoye has asked again, what role can data analytics, science, artificial intelligence, and digital monitoring play?
Please, moderator, let me just quickly comment. I just heard a comment now that it's OB3 that is completed, but AKK is not yet completed, but it needs to be checked. So just a comment as well.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, the last question. What role can data analytics, science, artificial intelligence, and digital monitoring play?
Okay, that's a very nice one. Mostly at the elementary level, before you start the main thing, you need to look at the data, you need to look at the simulation and the rest. And mostly it is advisable to start with this, because they don't need any large capital for that. So they play a very vital role in setting up at the initial stage before we can now move to the experimental or the larger production of that. Thank you.
Okay. I think our speaker, Dr. Abdulwasiu Abdulrahman, deserves some virtual applause. Please drop your comments on the chat box. Thank you so much, sir, for taking our time to respond to the questions as it was asked. We are very grateful for your service to SPE Abuja. Ladies and gentlemen, we switch gears immediately. If you're not part of SPE Abuja, this is a time to join SPE Abuja. Our rate is 77,500 for new membership fee, and renewal is 62,500 naira only. Of course, if you don't renew before the end of the year, you'll be made to pay a reinstatement fee of 15,000 naira. Please take a screenshot of what you're seeing on your screen so that you can message our membership chairman to kindly guide you through the process of being a member. If you want to renew, on the screen is also our account details. Please take a screenshot so that you can kindly renew to be a member of SPE Abuja. Of course, we're active on all social media platforms from YouTube to Facebook to LinkedIn to Instagram. Of course, our video like the one you're watching now is like streamed on YouTube. So always go back and refresh your memories, of course. We'd like to say a very happy birthday to our programs chair, Professor Kafayat Adeyemi. Thank you, ma'am, for your service to SPE Abuja section. Please, can we drop happy birthday in the chat box? Let's celebrate the phenomenal, the spectacular, the excellent, the brilliant-minded, of course, an inspiration to young ladies in STEM. Happy birthday, Professor Kafayat Adeyemi. Can I see your chats? Please drop your chats. You can unmute your mic and wish a happy birthday if you want to do so. Happy birthday, ma'am.
Happy birthday, ma'am.
Okay, I can see the comments.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your good wishes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I sincerely appreciate it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I wish you long life and prosperity as you continue to serve the universe. Okay, we'd like to inform everybody here that tomorrow and the day after tomorrow is the SPE Abuja Youth Young Professional Symposium from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. daily for the next 2 days. Kindly take a screenshot and register for the event. It's going to be very, very, very brain stimulating. We're going to speak on the role of young professionals, empowering the next generation of energy professionals. We'd like to see you at PTDF tomorrow. Of course, we also like to invite you to our NICE conference, our biggest flagship event for the SPE Nigeria Council. This year is going to take place from the 3rd to the 5th of August 2026, live at Accor Hotels and Suites. Of course, we'll be looking at the theme thriving in the evolving global energy landscape. We have about 14 short courses which you should participate. Now, short courses are pre-event, pre-conference activities. So please register for the short courses and be part of this event this year. We'd like to once again call our programs chair to kindly guide us with a closing remark. Over to you, Professor Kafayat.
Thank you, Akwan, moderator, for this technical meeting. So, to our speaker, Dr. Abdulrahman, you've done justice to the topic. I know your capabilities, and so I don't actually expect anything less. Thank you for being our speaker for this month. To my board members, thank you for all you do. And to our participants, thank you for joining us in our monthly technical meeting. So see you next month and have a very good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to wrap up the event, please can you turn your video cameras? Let's take a screenshot for the photo for the Instagram. Please on your video cameras, please, just for a few seconds. Let's take a screenshot, please. Kindly turn on your video cameras, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Dr. Bisoye would like to see your face. Abubakar Raji would like to see your face. The birthday girl, we celebrate you, ma'am. We honor you, ma'am. Blessing, please turn on your video cameras. Mark would like to have to see your face. Francis, please turn on your video cameras. In 3, in 2, and in 1, we'll take the screenshot now. Okay. Kami Ludin, we are not seeing your face, sir. Can we see your face better? Okay. Okay. You don't want to turn on video cameras. Okay, I'll just do the screenshot with Abdul Wasil, Dr. Durasi. Okay, when I say SP Abuja, please unmute your mic and say culture of excellence. And then you give me a thumbs up. SP Abuja,
Culture of excellence.
Excellence.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we call it a day for now. See you in the next technical meeting. See you at NICE. See you tomorrow at the YP event. And bye for now. My name is Off and On, and my pleasure as well to always serve as your MC. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.